Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Mysteries from Beyond the Other Dominion. I'm your host, Dr. Franklin Rule, and today we're going to investigate the enigmatic face of Mars, reveal 3 secrets concerning General George Armstrong Custer, ask if Goliath was possibly an ET, and even teach you how to get rid of a chatterbox gracefully, and cover other intriguing subjects. But first, the enigmatic face of Mars. As you may know, it's my thesis, my contention, that the universe is literally teeming with life. That life indeed is the common denominator of the cosmic backdrop, that we truly live in the inhabited universe. If I were pressed to show you just one piece of evidence proving this thesis, it would be the enigmatic face of Mars. Now, anyone I've shown this photo to has immediately remarked, it looks like a humanoid face. And please note, it has a hairline, nose, eyes, chin, mouth. For all intents and purposes, that is a humanoid face. It's 3/4 of a mile from ear to ear, 1 mile from crown to chin. And I stress this was taken not by a ufologist, but by NASA back on June 20th, 1976, by its Viking 1 orbiter from an altitude of 1,172 miles. Now, that is in the northern area of Mars in a region called Cydonia. Now, at that time, 2 NASA imaging scientists examined that face by computer and found that it was non-natural. It did not match the terrain, suggesting it was created by intelligence. And just a couple of years ago, another scientist used another computer and found that from every conceivable viewing point, the face of Mars retains its integrity. It is not a trick of light and shadow. It is not an optical illusion. Now, for skeptics in the audience, may I point out that here on Earth, we have, first of all, the world's largest Buddha carved out of the side of a mountain in Bamiyan, Afghanistan. In Egypt, of course, we have the Sphinx, which actually resembles somewhat the face of Mars. And right here in the good old USA, we have the 4 presidential faces in Mount Rushmore, South Dakota, and the 3 heroes of the Confederacy carved out of Stone Mountain down in Atlanta, Georgia. An alien probe sending photos of these objects back to its home planet might meet with similar skepticism. Aliens there might say, those must be natural objects. They could not have been created by intelligence. There is no life on planet Earth. Well, that same myopic viewpoint characterizes terrestrial orthodox scientists. I say there is life on Mars. Now, what happened to it? Possibly as the Martian atmosphere thinned, entities there migrated either underground or underwater, such as either the northern or southernmost polar cap. Of course, the answer lies in a new expedition to Mars that would include both an archaeologist and geologist to examine the face. But I'm betting they'll find it's non-natural, created by intelligence. Now, when we return, mysteries concerning General George Custer. Please stay tuned. Welcome back, and now it's time for the secrets of General George Armstrong Custer. And we have our first trivia question of the day, actually our only trivia question of the day. Let's take a look at it. Okay, let me extricate from his paper prison. The question for you today: what was Custer's rank in class when he graduated from West Point? Now, the prize, the only prize, is 1 pat on the back that you'll have to administer to yourself if and only if you have the correct answer. I'll take a sip of water and give you a few seconds to consider that answer. Okay, time's up. Again, what was Custer's rank in class when he graduated from West Point? The answer? He was dead last. That's the type of student he was. Now, during the Civil War, he fought on the Union side and achieved the rank of Brigadier General of Volunteers. After the war, he was given the rank of Lieutenant Colonel and assigned to the 7th Regiment in Sioux Territory. On the date, May 17th, 1876, he and approximately 600 troopers left Fort Abraham Lincoln in southeastern Montana. They were going to fight and hopefully destroy the Sioux tribes. Many of the townspeople at that fort claimed that they saw a phantom army of approximately half that regiment ascend into heaven. It was as though it was a presentiment of ill tidings to come. One of those spotting that apparition, Libby, Custer's wife. And I want to stress, we're not talking about a town drunk here. Many different individuals independently reported this apparition. When Custer went to the Little Bighorn, he and his men were shocked. He had 264 troopers with them. They were surrounded by 2,000 to 4,000 Sioux and Cheyenne braves, led by Chief Sitting Bull and Chief Crazy Horse. They were overwhelmed enormously. Dr. Richard Gabriel, a well-known political scientist, wrote a book, No More Heroes, in which he claimed that most of Custer's men either committed suicide or shot each other rather than face torture at the hands of those Indians. In fact, there's some Indian accounts that the tribesmen were shocked when they saw most of the whites already dead. The question, of course, what happened to Custer? We don't know if he was one who committed suicide or one who fought valiantly on, as films depict, but a true mystery concerning Custer. And then thirdly, in the 20th century, there are many reports from both tourists and tour guides at the Little Bighorn National Park of spotting Custer and a few of those braves, that is, phantoms on horses. There's even a historian who claimed that he spoke to Custer, that is Custer's ghost. And we have other reports. For example, one attendant at the park was examining some bloody clothing that was recovered from the site of the battle and kept in a vault there. When he touched it, he said he felt the sheer terror that the man who wore it must have felt on the day he died. Sort of a paranormal mystery, again, concerning Custer. Now let's take a look at Custer in action from the serial appropriately titled Custer's Last Stand. Roll tape.
Major Reno, General Custer's been wiped out. There's 6,000 Indians charging down on you. What's your orders now? I've established a scout detail in the vicinity of Black Pool. Go to him, Cardigan, and get help. Yes, sir.
By the way, that was the well-known cowboy actor Rex Lees portraying General Custer. Now, for the world's largest truck. You've got to see this to believe it.
This is no matchbox toy, but a dresser haul pack. The largest, most humongous of all trucks in the world. It weighs 1/3 of a million pounds, as much as 6 Tyrannosaurus Rexes put together. Sitting up in the cab is like looking off the edge of the world. Its engine bay is the size of a kitchen. In fact, a grown man can stand underneath it. This Tyrannosaurus of trucks has a gargantuan appetite. A fill-up at the service station would run you about $1,300, or 1,000 gallons, not counting the 160 quarts of oil it needs for every change. And forget about mileage. This baby drinks up a fuel at the rate of 5 gallons per mile. But this truck is not designed for joyriding. No. With a price tag of $2.2 million, it's used by mining operations around the world. Loaded to capacity, this truck can carry a 500,000-pound payload, roughly equivalent to about 250 sports cars. This is the perfect vehicle with which to move a mountain.
And just where do you park a contraption like that? Anywhere you choose. Now, how to get rid of a chatterbox gracefully. Have you ever been buttonholed by someone who talks for an hour and says nothing worth hearing? Well, we have a few tips for you. First, if you're at their place, Tell them that you have a long-distance phone call to make that will be rather lengthy and that you'd like to use their phone. They'll give you the old heave-ho before you can say mysteries from beyond the other dominion. Now, if you're at your own place, you have more options. For example, you can turn on the air conditioning on a cool day, turn up the heat on a hot day, turn on a TV show you know they don't like, invite them to help you scrub the kitchen floor, or if you know they don't like exercise, invite them to go out jogging with you. You'll see them make their exit very quickly. Phone call, excuse me. Yeah. It's this pest Joe. He's one of these guys who talks for an hour and doesn't say anything. But I have a tip for this too. Scratch on the phone like this. Hey Joe, I think there's some interference here. I'd like to talk, but this interference is driving me crazy. Let me call you back in a minute. Hang up on him. Then you take the phone off the hook so he can't call you back. Just a few tips for gracefully divesting yourself of a chatterbox or boring person heard only on our show. When we return, the question, was Goliath an E.T.? John Archer, father of popular actress Ann Archer, was the voice of the Shadow on the radio and appeared in several horror films such as The Bowery at Midnight, in which he had a deadly encounter with Bela Lugosi.
You can't be serious. This is like a crazy nightmare.
Think. You have 30 seconds to answer that question.
I'm getting out of here.
I'm afraid not, Mr. Denison. Think.
Please, Professor.
What are you thinking?
You're mad. Insane.
What I think is...
Don't!
Welcome back, and now the question, was Goliath an alien? The good book tells his story in the first book of Samuel, chapter 17, verses 4 through 51. He's described as being a giant who was 6 cubits and a span in height. Now, a span is generally accepted to be 9 inches. A cubit anywhere from 18 to 22 inches. Taking the minimum figure, Goliath was at least 9 feet 9 inches tall and a maximum of 11 feet 9 inches tall. That is far taller than any known human. Indeed, the tallest known human was a man named Robert Wadlow, who stood 8 feet 11 inches, and by the way, wore a size 37 AA shoe and weighed 440 pounds. Goliath was almost a foot taller at a minimum than this man. The question, could he have been an E.T.? I think that's possible, or perhaps more likely, an alien-human hybrid, the union of a mating between some E.T.s and humans. And perhaps there was a race of giants because we have descriptions of them around the world in tales of so-called gods. Something to consider. And by the way, may I point out that David did not slay Goliath by slinging a rock in his head. That only knocked Goliath down. David then went over, took Goliath's sword, and beheaded him. That's how Goliath died. Just a little bit of trivia heard only on our show, hopefully. Now, for some amazing giant lava tubes up in the state of Washington near Mount St. Helens. We sent our intrepid reporter Dennis up to cover them. Take it away, Dennis.
I'm here in the shadow of Mount St. Helens in Washington State. I'm at the entrance of a lava tube formed by an eruption over 1,900 years ago. Let's go inside. Dr. Rule, this is the longest lava tube in North and South America. They tell me there's a lot of amazing things down here. This lava tube was actually discovered in the 1950s by a group of Boy Scouts who called themselves the Apes. They called themselves this because Bigfoot coincidentally had been spotted in the area. The way these lava tubes were formed, we are actually standing in what once was a riverbed or a stream, and the lava formed around it. While the lava on the side cooled, the hotter lava flowed down here like a stream, carrying rocks and debris with it. Oh! Oh, look at this. It appears the rocks are actually dripping. What happened was, the new lava flows would actually heat and melt these rocks, causing these formations. They're known as lava sickles. This is weird. What do they call this rock? It looks like a meatball. If you look up on the walls here, you see this white substance. It's actually called white cave slime. It's a living organism. They think that this is the only lava tube in existence that actually has this. But they're not sure why it exists or what its purpose is. I was actually advised to take a tour guide, but I don't need it. She said as long as I stay out of the upper cave, I'll be safe. Of course, I could be in really big trouble if my lantern went out. Oops.
Excellent job, Dennis. But get rid of that coat. I told you last time you're fired. Unless you get rid of it, it does not meet our show's dress code. Now it's time for our weird crime file. Dateline, January 23rd, 1992, Alicante, Spain. A 57-year-old man went to the door of an older woman. He claimed that he was a sewing machine repairman and asked her to get the code on her machine because he might just have a free part for her. When she went over to get it, he entered her home, went to her bedroom, and stole her purse containing about $100. He ran out the door. The feisty old woman chased him down the street, yelling "Bandido." The man actually tripped and choked to death on his false teeth. How about that? I think there are two lessons to be learned here. First, crime does not pay. Secondly, if you're going out robbing, leave your false teeth at home. Now, when we return, our video mailbag. Please stay tuned.
They're coming. Well, cut me loose.
Gorgeous actress Allison Hayes, who starred in Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, tragically died at the age of 47 from blood poisoning. She was typically cast in horror and sci-fi films, such as The Unearthly in 1957. Welcome back. Have you ever dialed a 900 number? Would you dial 900 Witch Doctor? Well, down in South Africa, Dial a Witch Doctor is the hottest new 900 number available. In either Zulu or English, a witch doctor will tell you about your past, cast the bones to predict your future, or help you solve problems with your marriage, job, or health. The average South African is spending $12.50 a day on this. That represents 1 day's wages. And the overall system is raking in an incredible $9 million a month. When will it be available in America? Hopefully soon. Now it's time for our video mailbag, and this time it's a letter from Steve Plowman down in Delray Beach, Florida. He writes, "I love your show. It's informing and entertaining." Well, thank you, Steve. "I hope that you can settle a bet I have going with a neighbor of mine, who loves your show too, by the way. I say geckos stay on windows because they have suction cups on their hind legs. She says I'm dead wrong. What do you say? We see geckos quite often here in Florida, but we've been unable to settle this question by just observing them. Thanks for all your help, and keep up the good work." Well, thanks, Steve. We just happen to have a gecko for your consideration right here. Note there are no suction cups on his little feet. Rather, he has claws that act like grappling hooks, and he's able to scale glass for a very unusual reason. Glass, as you can see, has microscopic imperfections in it, and he's able to get his little claws in those indentations and scale right up those glass panes. No problem at all for the gecko. By the way, he's found in America and other parts of the world. He's a non-venomous lizard, and he's the only one who makes a sound other than hissing. That sound, gecko, gecko. That's how he got his name. Facts hopefully heard only on Mysteries from Beyond the Other Dominion. Now, if you have a question for us or an answer, such as an intriguing fact you've found, put it in writing or put yourself before the camcorder. And if you have film footage of an ET, UFO, Bigfoot creature, lake monster, ghost, or anything like that, again, send it to us at P.O. Box 847, Glendale, California, 91209. We do not promise to use anything you send, but if we do use it, you'll have a small measure of fame, and that's a lot better than a slap on the belly with a wet trout. Now, until next time, may the power of the universe be with you.